Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you. That's depending where you are in the world. I am here in London, live on YouTube, live. It is after 8:15 on a Thursday evening. I'm doing my nighttime devotion from the devotional Conflict and Courage. The title today, An Inspired Resolution. An Inspired Resolution. The scripture reading comes from Genesis 49, verse 22. Joseph is a fruitful buff, even a fruitful buff by a well, whose branches run over the wall. Joseph regarded his being sold into Egypt as the greatest calamity that could have befallen him. But he saw the necessity of trusting in God as he had never done when protected by his father's love. As the caravan journeyed southward toward the borders of Canaan, the boy could discern in the distance the hills among which lay his father's tents. Bitterly he wept at thought of that loving father in his loneliness and affliction. Again the scene at Dothan came up before him. He saw his angry brothers and felt their fierce glances bent upon him. The stinging, insulting words that had met his agonized entreaties were ringing in his ears. With a trembling heart, he looked forward to the future. What a change in situation. From the tenderly cherished son to the despised and helpless slave. But in the providence of God, even this experience was to be a blessing to him. He had learned in a few hours that which years might not otherwise have taught him. His father, strong and tender as his love had been, had done him wrong by his partiality and indulgence. This unwise preference had angered his brothers and provoked them to the cruel deed that had separated him from his home. Its effects were manifest also in his own character. Faults had been encouraged that were now to be corrected. His thoughts turned to his father's God. In his childhood, he had been taught to love and fear him. Often in his father's tent, he had listened to the story of the vision that Jacob saw as he fled from his home, an exile and a fugitive. His soul thrilled with the high resolve to prove himself true to God, under all circumstances to act as become a subject of the King of Heaven. He would serve the Lord with undivided heart. He would meet the trials of his lot with fortitude and perform every duty with fidelity. One day's experience had been the turning point in Joseph's life. Its terrible calamity had transformed him from a petted child to a man, thoughtful, courageous, and self-possessed. Good evening, Arakel. It's good to have you there. Thank you, brother. So, this is now talking about Joseph when he's sold by his brothers into slavery. And it reflects on the point that Joseph was a spoilt child, although he probably didn't realize it, but his brothers did. And he eventually had to reflect on the fact that whereby he had everything very comfy and cushy, his brothers sold him, and now he's in a totally unidentifiable situation. And his father's not there. His father was always there. His dad, Jacob, was always there to rescue him, to look after him, to comfort him, but that is not happening now. And because he was taught about God, the Father, the Creator, his thoughts now turn to God, because that's all he's got. And it's good. It's good that we are put into these situations where we are tested. And do we give up to the situation we're in, lose hope, and fold and crumble? Or do we cry out to God and say, I know you're there. I know you're in control. And whatever situation I'm in now, I know you will see me through. Because this is what Joseph basically did. That one day's experience where he was sold as a slave was the turning point in Joseph's life, where calamity transformed him from a spoiled, petted child into a thoughtful, courageous man. Self-possessed, I'm not sure exactly what that means there, but I guess we have to go with it. I'm sure you've been through situations, I know I have, where you've got nothing to look to or no one to turn to except God. I've been there a few times, and I did. So, God bless you. Have a good night, day, morning, whatever it is, where you are while you're listening to this. May God be with you. May God bless you. May God have his face shine upon you.